My estranged family invited me to my brother's wedding, only for my father to kick me out, declaring me an embarrassment. My stepmother sarcastically inquired about my earnings, prompting my swift exit. Moments later, 25 people arrived and removed all the catering, leaving 300 guests without food. I informed them they should have done their research. I own the catering company. I've always believed in building something for myself, and that's precisely what I did with my catering business. Starting as a humble food truck during my college years, it steadily grew into a full-service catering company, now employing over 50 individuals and serving upscale events throughout the greater Chicago area. Years of sleepless nights, sacrifices, and unwavering dedication culminated in a business I'm immensely proud of. This background is crucial to understanding the disastrous events of last weekend at my younger brother Mark's wedding. To provide context, I've been estranged from my family for almost 6 years. My mother passed away when I was 14, and my father remarried Jenny, my stepmother, within a year. From the outset, Jenny made it clear she wanted no reminders of my mother, and my father, eager to move on, allowed her to erase my mother's memory from our lives, creating significant tension between us. My younger brother, Mark, only 10 at the time, grew close to Jenny, while I struggled to accept her sudden, controlling presence in our home. The rift between my father and me began then. The true breaking point occurred during college. While I juggled multiple part-time jobs to finance my education, my father refused any financial assistance, insisting I needed to learn responsibility. Meanwhile, he fully funded Mark's education at a pricey private university. The disparity in treatment was stark. Jenny, with her condescending demeanor, constantly belittled my efforts to build my catering business, often dismissing it as playing with a food truck while praising Mark's real career in finance. After college, contact was minimal, limited primarily to holiday appearances. The final straw came 6 years ago when I discovered my father and Jenny had sold our childhood home without informing me. I only learned of it after they'd moved, and all of my mother's remaining belongings, items I cherished, were gone. When I confronted my father, he dismissed me as overly emotional and told me to move on. That's when I went no contact. Fast forward to last month, when I received an unexpected formal invitation to Mark's wedding. Included was a handwritten note from him expressing how much he missed me and his desire to mend our relationship. After much deliberation, I decided to attend. I even offered a heavily discounted catering package as a gesture of goodwill, which Mark politely declined, explaining they had already booked another company. I was slightly hurt, but dismissed it. The wedding, held at a picturesque Lake Forest venue, began with cautious optimism on my part. Mark seemed genuinely pleased to see me, a welcome relief. However, Jenny's attitude remained unchanged. Upon seeing me, she made snide remarks about my appearance and my business. I ignored her and tried to enjoy the undeniably beautiful ceremony. The seating arrangement, however, was telling. Placed at a distant table with relatives I barely knew, I felt like an outsider. Things deteriorated during the reception. My father, visibly intoxicated, approached my table and launched into an unprovoked tirade. He accused me of being uninvited, despite the invitation in my pocket, and loudly proclaimed me an embarrassment, ruining Mark's special day. Before I could respond, Jenny joined in, sarcastically asking how much I earned playing restaurant owner and criticizing my suit, implying I couldn't afford it. The audacity was astounding. I chose to leave quietly, recognizing the futility of engaging with them, especially with my father's inebriation and Jenny's obvious relish in belittling me. While walking to my car, I noticed the catering staff preparing for the main course. I immediately recognized several of them as my employees. It dawned on me. The catering company my business partner had hired had recently been acquired by my own company. The former owner remained as a manager, so I hadn't been directly involved in the wedding planning. Legally, however, the company and this event were now under my control. I called my operations manager to confirm my suspicions. This was, indeed, our event. I recalled my father's words, that I was an embarrassment, ruining the wedding simply by being present. Then, I made a decision. If my presence was so offensive, they surely wouldn't want my company catering their event either. I instructed my staff to pack up and leave. Within 15 minutes, 25 of my employees had packed all the food, equipment, and supplies back into our trucks and departed. Chaos erupted shortly after, as 300 guests were left without their main course or dessert. People began to realize something was seriously amiss. My father attempted to intervene, but he was powerless. The contract signed with the catering company's previous owner included a clause permitting us to terminate service in the event of hostile or discriminatory behavior towards our staff or ownership. That's precisely what had occurred. I left my business card with the venue manager, instructing her to have my father contact my lawyer regarding any payment disputes. The fallout was immediate. By the next morning, my phone was inundated with messages from family members accusing me of being selfish and petty. Mark sent a lengthy text claiming I had ruined his wedding and validated Jenny's negative opinions of me. My father, predictably, threatened a lawsuit for breach of contract. I forwarded all communication to my lawyer and blocked their numbers. A few hours later, I began receiving messages from some wedding guests. Surprisingly, several supported my actions. They had witnessed my father and Jenny's treatment of me and expressed their disgust. One of Mark's friends, familiar with my catering company's reputation, even apologized for the incident, expressing admiration for my team's swift and professional handling of the situation. This unexpected support reinforced the fact that not everyone was blind to what had transpired. As the days passed, I learned that Mark's wedding, particularly its abrupt ending, had become a topic of conversation. Word spread among Mark's colleagues and friends about the unfolding drama, and Jenny's carefully crafted image began to crumble. Mutual acquaintances mentioned Jenny's attempts to downplay the incident, placing the blame squarely on me. However, the truth was already public knowledge, and no one believed her version of events. The damage was irreversible. Reflecting on everything, I feel no guilt. I didn't crash the wedding or create a scene. I was invited and treated with utter disrespect. They chose to humiliate me, and I exercised my legal right to terminate a service. It was a business decision, nothing personal. They didn't want me there, so they didn't receive my services. Simple as that. Still, I can't shake the feeling of being dragged back into family drama I had hoped to escape. I question whether my response was excessive or justified given their treatment. The situation weighs heavily on me, so I'm turning to Reddit for perspective. Ida? Update 1. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. I didn't expect this story to go viral, but I'm grateful for the outpouring of kindness and thoughtful responses. The sheer volume of comments and messages is staggering, and while I've tried to address as many as possible, it's been overwhelming. I genuinely appreciate everyone's feedback, which has provided new perspectives on this ordeal. Many have inquired about the legal aspects and whether my father and Jenny intend to pursue legal action. The short answer is yes, they've threatened to sue, as anticipated. Here's what's happened since my initial post. Immediately following the wedding fiasco, I contacted my lawyer preemptively. We reviewed the contract between my catering company and the previous owner, signed by either Mark or his wedding planner. Fortunately, the contract is ironclad, containing a clause permitting service termination in cases of hostile or discriminatory behavior towards our staff or ownership. This clause was specifically designed for situations like this. To be fully prepared, I contacted the venue manager, who confirmed their security cameras recorded everything. The footage clearly shows my father accosting me, and while the audio is imperfect, it captures enough to verify his berating. Jenny's derogatory remarks are also recorded, clearly demonstrating hostile behavior sufficient to justify terminating the catering service. With this evidence, I'm confident in my legal position. A few days after the wedding, my lawyer sent a formal letter to my father's attorney outlining the situation and emphasizing the contract's provision for service termination due to hostile behavior. We even mentioned the video evidence and our willingness to provide it if necessary. I initially assumed that would be the end of it, but I underestimated Jenny's tenacity and vengefulness. Yesterday, my father's lawyer responded, demanding a full refund and threatening to sue for damages, alleging that my actions ruined the wedding and caused irreparable harm. They are seeking compensation not just for the catering, but also for the disruption caused to the entire event. Naturally, I refused to cave. I wasn't going to pay them anything, especially since they were responsible for creating this mess. After consulting with my lawyer, we proposed a counteroffer, a 50% refund of the deposit, contingent on two conditions. First, they had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, preventing them from publicly discussing the situation or posting negative reviews. Second, they had to sign a release of claims, precluding any further legal action against me or my company. We sent the offer and awaited their response. Despite the legal proceedings, Jenny continued her attempts to sabotage my business. The venue manager informed me that Jenny had tried posting negative online reviews about my catering company, falsely accusing us of sabotaging the wedding and exaggerating the incident to make the family look bad. Fortunately, the venue manager blocked her attempts, but it was still frustrating. My legal team monitored the situation, prepared to address any further defamation attempts. Ironically, the wedding chaos led to unexpected positive outcomes for my business. Several guests complimented my staff's professionalism and expressed interest in hiring us for their own events. Some were impressed by the swift and efficient manner in which my team packed up and left. It's strange how a disaster like this could generate new business opportunities, but it seemed to be the silver lining. As for Mark, he hasn't contacted me directly, but sent a message through a mutual cousin. He admitted feeling guilty for not defending me during the wedding, explaining his silence stemmed from a desire to avoid conflict with our father and Jenny. He apologized and requested a meeting. I'm ambivalent about this. Part of me wants to hear him out, but another part feels it's too late. For now, I'm postponing any meetings until the legal matters are resolved. Personally, I've been reflecting extensively. In some ways, I feel vindicated for standing up for myself. My family treated me like an outsider for years, and I finally set a boundary. Legally and professionally, I know I made the right decisions, but emotionally, the situation is draining. It's hard not to feel a sense of loss, even though I've been estranged from my father and Jenny for years. Mark's wedding was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but instead, it became a legal battle and a source of unwanted family drama. The weight of it all is settling in, and I'm left wondering about the long-term consequences for my relationships with the rest of my family. Will things ever return to normal? Can I repair my relationship with Mark, or is the damage irreparable? I don't have the answers yet. For now, I'm focused on my father and Jenny's response to our offer. If they accept the NDA and release of claims, perhaps we can all move on. If they refuse and pursue legal action, I'm prepared to defend myself and my company. I'll keep you updated. Thank you for your support and encouragement. It means a lot during this chaotic time. Update 2. Since my last update, things have become even more complicated, but at least the legal issues are resolved. Before explaining that, let me backtrack. A business associate who works with Mark and Jenny's wedding planner provided additional insights into the pre-wedding chaos. Apparently, the problems didn't begin with my arrival. They had been brewing for weeks. According to my associate, Jenny was a nightmare from the start, insisting on multiple last-minute changes to the floral arrangements despite prior approval. She constantly debated every detail with the event planner. The wedding cake design was altered at least 3 times due to Jenny's indecisiveness, and she even demanded a complete overhaul of the seating chart just days before the event, forcing the planner to rearrange seating for over 300 guests multiple times, an inconvenient and costly endeavor. Furthermore, there were significant tensions between Jenny and the venue staff. Jenny reportedly made condescending remarks about their professionalism, claiming they weren't up to par for such a high-end wedding. This was ironic, given the venue's excellent reputation and highly regarded staff. Jenny also attempted to change the band's set list at the last minute, despite Mark and his fiancée's prior approval. Months before the wedding, Jenny had personally selected every song, turning the planning process into a complete ordeal for everyone involved. My associate recounted instances where the event planner was near her breaking point due to Jenny's relentless interference and outlandish requests. Remarkably, the planner persevered, despite the emotional strain Jenny inflicted on the entire team. Hearing this validated the stress and confusion I experienced at the reception, as it was merely a glimpse of the chaos the vendors endured in the preceding weeks. Regarding the legal issues, my father's attorney finally reached out yesterday and agreed to our settlement terms. Following what I presume was a protracted discussion involving my father, Jenny, and their legal counsel, they opted to accept the partial reimbursement and execute the non-disclosure agreement, NDA. This morning, they finalized the required paperwork, and we issued the refund, 50% of their initial deposit, less expenses already incurred for catering, personnel, and travel. Thus, the legal dispute is officially settled. Their lawyer's correspondence was strictly business, offering no apology or acknowledgement of the actual events, but I hadn't anticipated one. The crucial point is their acceptance of the settlement, freeing me from further legal entanglement. While the legal battle is over, The personal repercussions continue to escalate. Disturbingly, Jenny has been actively attempting to sabotage my business post-wedding. She has contacted several employees, seeking information about my company's operations. Fortunately, my loyal staff refrained from engaging with her, especially given the circumstances. We've directed all employees to forward any communication from my family directly to our legal department. Jenny's actions extend beyond my employees. She's also contacted some of my business associates on LinkedIn, spreading false allegations about my character and accusing me of intentionally ruining her son's wedding. Anger is one thing, but attempting to destroy someone's livelihood is quite another. Jenny's efforts to tarnish my reputation crossed a significant line. Upon learning of her activities, our attorney issued a cease and desist letter. We're treating this matter seriously, as her behavior borders on defamation. Our legal team is prepared to escalate if needed, though I hope the letter will suffice. However, knowing Jenny's penchant for pushing boundaries, I wouldn't be surprised if she persists. Perhaps the most unexpected development involves my brother, Mark. I hadn't expected much from him after the wedding, but the incident's fallout has impacted his marriage. From what I've gathered through mutual acquaintances and cousins, Mark and his new wife had a serious argument about the wedding. She was apparently horrified by our father and Jenny's treatment of me, and confronted Mark about his inaction. She reportedly insisted that he should have defended me, and that allowing his father and stepmother to humiliate me was unacceptable. I understand their disagreement was substantial enough to postpone their honeymoon. While I don't have all the details, it's evident Mark is confronting the situation's reality, including re-evaluating his relationship with our father and Jenny. I have mixed feelings about this. While it's validating that someone else recognized the gravity of their behavior, I also sympathize with Mark's predicament. He's under immense familial pressure, and though it doesn't excuse his inaction, it's a challenging position, especially as a newlywed navigating this turmoil. As for myself, I'm concentrating on moving forward. With the legal issues resolved and Jenny's attempts to harm my business being addressed by my legal team, I'm beginning to find closure. The future of my relationship with Mark and the rest of the family remains uncertain, but I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm grateful for the support from my staff, business partners, and even some family members who've privately offered encouragement. I'll provide further updates if anything changes, but for now, I'm hopeful this chapter is concluding. Thank you again for your support. Update 3. Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation for all the supportive comments and messages I've received since sharing my story. The last week has been a period of significant change, and I wanted to update you on how things have progressed. I met with Mark for coffee yesterday, a somewhat emotional reunion I wasn't entirely prepared for, but knew was necessary. This long overdue conversation was important for both of us. Mark tearfully apologized for years of enabling Jenny's behavior and our father's preferential treatment. He was visibly upset, carrying a heavy burden. I always knew Mark loved me, but hearing him acknowledge his complicity in allowing Jenny to control our family dynamics was a significant step. Mark revealed Jenny's years of financial manipulation, explaining how she persuaded our father to transfer most of their assets into her name, including partial ownership of Mark's condo. He felt completely blindsided by this revelation, which clarified the tension in their relationship. He was angry at living under false pretenses, believing he had autonomy while Jenny orchestrated everything. Now aware, he's working with a financial advisor to regain his independence, a step demonstrating his commitment to change. During our meeting, Mark also mentioned a breakthrough with his wife. She later contacted me directly with positive news. They're starting couples counseling. Mark is finally asserting himself and confronting Jenny, a stark contrast to his past behavior. They're actively searching for a new condo, solely in their names, severing any financial ties to Jenny. This was incredibly reassuring. They're establishing boundaries and reclaiming control of their lives, a journey I hope continues for them both. Mark's wife also shared their plans for a small vow renewal ceremony in a few months, with different in-laws at the family table. They're actively redefining their concept of family, a gesture that deeply touched me. They are building a new family narrative, free from the toxicity introduced by Jenny and my father. Surprisingly, Jenny and my father have been silent since signing the NDA. Through mutual acquaintances, I've learned they're facing social repercussions within their country club circle. They'd been portraying a drastically different version of our family story, casting me as the antagonist. Now people are questioning their narrative, and the consequences of their actions are catching up. It's ironic that the social status they prized is now jeopardized by their own behavior. This entire ordeal has reinforced the importance of setting boundaries with toxic family members. Sometimes, difficult decisions like upholding boundaries and defending your principles are the correct ones, even if they cause temporary upheaval. Standing firm in my truth, despite the backlash, has fostered unexpected growth and healing in other relationships. I'm thankful for the community support and shared experiences from those who have faced similar family dynamics. It's comforting knowing I'm not alone. I hope my story empowers others in similar situations. Life is too short for toxic relationships, but never too late for genuine reconciliation with those who are truly remorseful. Moving forward, I'll maintain boundaries with Jenny and my father. Their actions have revealed their true character, and I have no desire to re-engage with that dynamic. However, I'm cautiously optimistic about rebuilding relationships with Mark and other family members willing to interact respectfully. There's a possibility for reconnection, especially now that Mark understands the need for healthy boundaries. My business is thriving beyond expectations. Following the wedding incident, I received several inquiries from potential clients impressed by how we handled the chaos. Our reputation within the local community has actually strengthened, leading to a surge in bookings. It's gratifying to see my years of hard work paying off and receiving recognition for my dedication. I also met with my employees to discuss the incident, ensuring they felt supported and appreciated for their professionalism during a difficult time. Their feedback was heartwarming, with many expressing gratitude for our strong company culture. This reinforced my belief in the importance of treating employees well and fostering a positive work environment. For those inquiring about future family events, I will maintain boundaries with Jenny and my father, but am open to re-establishing connections with Mark and other family members who demonstrate respect. It's a delicate balance, but I remain hopeful. Life is too short for toxic relationships, and I want to prioritize positive connections that bring joy and support. Thank you for your unwavering support, awards, and kind messages. They've meant the world to me. I may not post further updates, but wanted to share this final one to highlight the positive changes. Take care, and remember it's okay to stand up for yourself, even when challenging. You never know how it might inspire others to do the same.